Someday, when my ship comes in. Someday, when I have the money. Someday, when I have the time. Someday, when I have the skill, the confidence. How many of those statements have you said to yourself? Have I got some shocking news for you? Someday doesn't exist, never has, and never will. There is no someday, there's only today. When tomorrow comes, it will be another today. So will the next day. They all will. There is never anything but today. And some more shocking news. Your ship's not coming. It's already here, docked and waiting. You already have the money. You already have the time. You already have the skill, the confidence. You already have everything you need to achieve, everything you want. You just can't see it. Why not? Because you're looking in the wrong place. You're looking for the breakthrough, the quantum leap. You're looking for the winning lottery ticket in a game that isn't a lottery. Have you ever noticed that when you read stories about lottery winners, they are hardly ever bank presidents, successful entrepreneurs, or corporate executives? That they never seem to be people who were already financially successful before they bought that winning ticket. Have you ever wondered why? It's because successful people never win the lottery. Why not? Because they don't buy lottery tickets. Successful people have already grasped the truth that lottery players have not. Life is not a lottery. Success is not a random accident in ancient Greek theater. Characters generally got themselves into as much of a mess as the playwright could possibly dream up. Everything would be headed for an absolutely impossible disaster when, in the last few minutes of the play, an actor playing a god would come floating down from the sky to make everything right, banishing this character and reinstating that one, punishing another and granting divine clemency to still another, explaining the inexplicable and solving the things would be in such a mess. There'd be no way a human being could sort the stuff out. Obviously, it would have to take a being with divine powers. And just like in a stage production of Peter Pan, the actor would be suspended by ropes and a system of pulleys, a mechanical contrivance they termed a machine, or today, thousands of years later, people still refer to a last-minute cheap solution for an impossible problem coming out of thin air as a deus ex machina, or God dropping in out of nowhere by a machine, the supernatural breakthrough force that pops in just to make all things right. And by the way, when critics say a play, novel, or film uses a deus ex machina, it's not a compliment. It's their way of saying, oh yeah, right. Couldn't come up with a real solution, huh? So you had to trot in a deus ex machina. Give me a break. And that is just what it is people are hoping for. A break. The big break, the lucky break, the breakthrough, a break in the routine, a break with reality, a deus ex machina. But that's not how things really work. Okay, then, how do things really work? Look at some of the real-world problems that would have made Athena, or Apollo, or any other deity of Greek drama pull their hair out. William Wilberforce spent his entire career introducing bill after bill to his colleagues in the British Parliament in his efforts to end slavery, only to have them defeated one after the other. From 1788 to 1806, he introduced a new anti-slavery motion and watched it fail every single year for 18 years in a row. Finally, 3 days before Wilberforce's death in 1833, Parliament passed a bill to abolish slavery, not only in England, but also throughout its colonies. 3 decades later, a similar bill would pass in the United States, spearheaded by another man of conscience, who had also spent much of his life failing. Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, deus ex machina, far from it. These were human problems, and they had human solutions, but the only access to them is through the slight edge. Of course, Wilberforce and Lincoln were not the sole figures in this heroic struggle, and even after their bills were passed into law on both sides of the Atlantic, the evils of slavery and racism were far from over. But their efforts, like Mother Teresa's efforts to end poverty, Gandhi's to end colonial oppression, or Martin Luther King's and Nelson Mandela's to end racism, are classic examples of what breakthrough looks like in the real world. All of these real-life heroes understood the slight edge. None of them were hypnotized by the allure of the big break. If they had been, they would never have continued taking the actions they took, and what would the world look like today? Our cultural mythology, the philosophy our society subscribes to as a group, worships the breakthrough even when we don't realize that's what we're doing. One small step for a man. Nonsense. That wasn't one small step. The guy was on the moon. That was one gigantic step for man, a genuine breakthrough. The small step was when some guy someone you and I never heard of first started tinkering with design ideas for how a rocket ship might withstand the intense conditions of spaceflight. There were thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of one small steps for years and years beforehand. That all went into that epic 1969 leap of Neil Armstrong's that was televised throughout the world and is still played over and over in our culture as one of the most deeply ingrained news bites of history. But we don't celebrate any of those real small steps. We don't even know what they are, or who made them. The myth of our culture is the giant step, the larger-than-life leap, the heroic effort, faster than a speeding bullet, able to ... double quotes. Wait, how does that go again? Is it able to take small, insignificant, incremental steps, consistently, over time? No. It's able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. I mean, what kind of Superman would take tiny steps? The kind who wins, like Edison and his light bulb. There's a popular expression these days: luck is preparedness, meeting opportunity. It's a nifty little saying, and it's close, but in my experience, it isn't quite accurate. Luck is preparedness through doing those simple, little, constructive, positive actions over and over. Luck is preparedness. That eventually creates opportunity. That's the truth of big breaks, lucky breaks, and breakthroughs. They do happen just not out of thin air. Have you ever suddenly understood something in a flash of recognition? Have you ever known of someone who became an overnight success? Here is a secret. Both that sudden flash and that overnight success were the final breakthrough results of a lengthy process of edge upon edge upon edge. You may completely and absolutely trust in the truth that it is always the little things, done consistently over time, which bring about the breakthroughs that you see. No success is immediate, nor is any failure instantaneous. They are both products of the slight edge. The truth of quantum leaps is that they are not larger than life. They're submicroscopic. The actual term quantum leap comes from particle physics, where it does not refer to a huge, epic jump. It refers to the fact that energy, after a period of time, will suddenly appear at another level, without our having been able to observe how it got there. It is an exact description of how the water hyacinth moves from day 29 to day 30. An exact description of how the frog's certain death by drowning was suddenly transformed into salvation by butter. A real-life quantum leap is not Superman leaping a tall building. A real quantum leap is Edison perfecting the electric light bulb and transforming the world with it. Every single January in every gym in America. Hundreds of thousands of people start over in a process that they will soon quit totally because they haven't set themselves up with the right expectation. They aren't looking for incremental progress. They're looking for results they can feel. They're looking for a breakthrough. They never had a chance. Easy to do, easy not to do. And in that tiny, seemingly insignificant little choice not to do, so many people needlessly live out lives of quiet desperation. Believing in the big break is worse than simply being futile. It's actually dangerous because it can keep you from taking the actions you need to take to create the results you want. It can even be lethal. Think of the poor frog that gave up and let himself drown because he couldn't see a breakthrough on the horizon. He was wrong. Of course, there are miracles, even in the life of a frog. It's just that the breakthrough didn't come down out of the clouds. It came at the end of a series of consistent, determined, compounding interest foot paddlings. What's the greatest gift you can give to an inner city kid? An understanding of the slight edge? Because that's not the answer he's getting from the world around him. He believes that the only way out of his world of poverty, violence, oppression, and fear is to become a sports superstar, because that's what we tell him. That's the quantum leap answer. The truth, of course, is that very few individuals will have the talent to break out of that world by becoming sports superstars. And deep down, every one of these kids knows that, or soon finds out. So they give up. Why bother? And they become victims of the quantum leap myth. Can you imagine if every first grader was required to start reading 10 pages of a good book a day? How would their finances, their health, their relationships change as adults? Thank you so much for watching. Truly, the fact that you stayed until the end of this video says something important about you. It shows that you care, that you're hungry, that somewhere deep inside, you believe you're meant for more, and you're ready to take the small steps to get there.